Victory in war, but did the common man lose? The hidden cost of India-Pakistan wars. Imagine a tax you never really understood, silently deducted from your pocket every single day for 40 years. You bought a bus ticket, vegetables, clothes, and you never realized that with each purchase, you were still paying for a war. After India's historic victory over Pakistan in 1971, the government introduced a temporary tax called the Bangladesh surcharge. It was meant to last just a few months, but it continued for the next 4 decades. And that was just the beginning, because who really paid the price of war? The common man, you. Today, we are diving deep into this very story. But before that, if you are new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an important update. Now, let's uncover the full truth behind this cost. The 1971 war wasn't just a military triumph, it was a monumental emotional and geopolitical victory for India. The Indian army surrounded Pakistan on multiple fronts, freed Bangladesh, and showcased India's might on the world stage. But along with that historic win came a massive responsibility to shelter and support millions of Bangladeshi refugees. To fund their care, the Indian government introduced the Bangladesh surcharge, which was added to almost every item sold in the market. The government had said that once the situation normalized, the tax would be removed. But that never happened. In many parts of the country, this tax continued to be collected for decades. For instance, in Maharashtra, state-run buses charged 15 paise per ticket as a Bangladesh tax until 2014. When a public interest litigation, PIL, questioned this, it was revealed that Maharashtra's transport agencies alone had collected over 440 crore under this charge, without any clarity on how the money was to be used. Now imagine, if similar collections were added up across all Indian states, the total amount would likely run into thousands of crores. And all of it came from the pockets of ordinary citizens. People who never carried a gun in war still paid the price through tax. And the burden of war didn't end there. In 1971, when Pakistani General Niazi surrendered to Indian Lieutenant General Arora in Dhaka, over 93,000 Pakistani soldiers were taken as prisoners of war. Their food, shelter, security, and day-to-day expenses were all borne by India. These soldiers were kept in Indian prisons for nearly a year, and every rupee spent on them came from the common Indian taxpayer's wallet. Now just think, on one hand, rising inflation at home, on the other, the cost of war, and yet the country had to keep running. And this, at a time when India was still a developing nation with very limited resources. Every war doesn't just happen at the border, its shockwaves travel deep into the country, hitting the common man's pocket and plate directly. Let's now look at the hard numbers to understand how war impacts India's economy. Just before the 1965 war, India's inflation rate stood at 13.36%, while Pakistan's was at 4.18%. After the war, India's inflation briefly dipped, but by the very next year it surged again to 10.88% and continued to rise. In 1967, inflation in India shot up to over 13%. That's not all. India's GDP growth rate, which was 7.45% in 1964, plummeted to minus 2.64% in 1965, an absolute crash. Just imagine, an economy on the path to rapid growth was shaken to its core by a single war. Now let's talk about the 1971 war, where India handed Pakistan a decisive defeat. That year, India's inflation rate was at 3%. But by 1974, it had skyrocketed to 28.6%, one of the highest spikes in Indian history. At that time, not only did the cost of food soar, but cooking gas, clothing, medical care, everything slipped out of reach for the common man. What's truly worth noting is that the real cost of war doesn't hit immediately. In the beginning, there's the thrill of victory, images of triumphant soldiers on TV, bold headlines in newspapers, all of which fill us with pride. But a few months later, when vegetables become expensive, petrol queues grow longer, and school fees quietly rise, we begin to realize the war's real installments are yet to be paid. And the impact of war isn't just economic, it's deeply psychological and social as well. It's estimated that thousands of soldiers are martyred in every war, and their families must survive on limited government compensation. Each soldier who went to war might have otherwise been a school teacher, a farmer, or a government employee, but they left it all behind to defend the nation at the border. After the 1971 war, when we look at Pakistan's economic data, the situation was even more devastating. In 1973, 1974, and 1975, Pakistan's inflation rate crossed 23%, 26%, and 20% respectively. Its GDP growth, which was around 11% in 1970, collapsed to below 1% in the following 2 years. It was as if the economy had come to a standstill. India's condition wasn't much better either. In 1970, our GDP growth rate was 5.17%, but in the year of the war, it dropped to 1.64%, and the following year, it further plunged to minus 0.5%. This decline was no less devastating than a pandemic. It took India several years to recover, finally regaining a growth rate of around 9% only by 1975. Now think, who bore the brunt of all this? The government? The politicians? No. It was the teachers, farmers, salaried workers, small shopkeepers, every common citizen. Some paid more for vegetables, others endured higher medical costs, some had to pull their children out of school, and many lost their jobs. There's another hidden cost we often overlook, the cost of reconstruction. The bridges, roads, railway tracks, and communication systems destroyed during war need to be rebuilt. And that, too, is no less than a war. Rebuilding requires billions of rupees, and this burden also falls squarely on the shoulders of the public, in the form of higher taxes and rising inflation. And if you think this is just about the past, take a look at the present. When the Russia-Ukraine war began, even in India, fuel prices spiked, cooking oil prices shot up, and wheat stockpiles ran low. No matter where a war happens, its impact always reaches your home. Not just that, whenever tensions rise between India and Pakistan along the line of control, LOC, foreign investors panic and pull out their money. This leads to a stock market crash, the rupee weakens, and the country's economic stability wobbles. That means war is not just fought at the border, it attacks your bank account, your job, and your children's education. Now the question is war always harmful? The answer isn't so simple. Countries like Japan, Israel, and Vietnam have endured wars too, but they rebuilt themselves and emerged as global examples. However, this was possible due to strong policies, public participation, and long-term vision. In India too, if there is transparency in war expenditures, if post-war reconstruction is prioritized, and most importantly, if policies are made to ease the burden on the common man, then perhaps the victory after war can truly feel meaningful. In conclusion, one thing is crystal clear, the real cost of war isn't paid with bullets, but with wallets. And that wallet doesn't belong to a politician or a bureaucrat. It belongs to the common man, to you and me. So, every time we talk about war, we must salute the martyrs, but also remember those back home who silently carry its burden every single day.
If our video has taught you something new, do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestion. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources, news from various news agencies, opinion polls and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.